So I'm identifying a testimony. There's so many. When I finally write my book, it's going to be called All My Lives because it seems like there were just all these different moments in my life when God just did miracles for me. One particular time, I remember I was a single mother. I was living in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was going to Bethel Abundant Life Center Church. It was originally under Bishop William C. Abney, and his grandson, Pastor Jathan Austin, had taken it over. And I remember being at home, and I was done. I was done with everything. And what I remember my tears being is, Lord, I've given away everything. Now, to keep it in context, I was attending that church, but I was also very instrumental in a nonprofit organization, in the building of it and the operation of it, in the financing of it. I was also an armor bearer. I was also working full time. I was also a mom. There were a lot of things that I was doing, and internally, I felt totally depleted. And I was unhappy, and I felt like I had given everything away to people. I learned later on, even where the Bible tells us to guard our heart with all diligence, we have to guard our anointing. And when we don't fully understand who we are, what we've been called to do, sometimes we will allow people to guide who we are. We'll allow them to direct who we are. But in this moment, I was on my couch. I don't think my son was there. And I was just crying out to God because I literally felt like I'd given everything away. I heard myself saying I gave my virginity away. Now, by this time, my son is a good 8, 9, 10 years old. So I was kind of laughing later on. I'm like, you done gave your virginity away, girl. It's been a while since you did that. But it was just that I'd given it away, who I gave it to, that I gave my virtue away, that I gave my joy away, that because there was one time in my life when I was with Grand Valley State University choir, and we had gone to a church, and after we sang, this lady came up to me and she says, your smile is so beautiful. She says, don't ever let anybody take that joy away from you. You don't let anything. And I looked up and it was gone. I'd given it to people, trying to please people, trying to make people happy. And I was totally done. And so even in my crying and in my pity party, everything that I had given away, and I felt like I didn't have anything left. I felt like I'd given my gifts away. I felt like there wasn't anything left for God to use. I don't know if you've ever felt like that. But in that moment, I heard, even through my tears, and it made me stop crying, I heard that I'm doing a new thing. And even though you don't see it, it's still popping up. I believe that's in the book of Isaiah. I'm doing a new thing. And even though you don't see it, it's still coming up. And that was on a Saturday. On Sunday when I went to church, I remember sitting in the back on the left side. Bethel is no longer there, but it was on Cherry Street. And all the time that Pastor Jathan was preaching, I didn't see him. All I heard was God talking to me. He was answering every question from our conversation the night before. And when I went up to the altar, I didn't need anybody to touch me because it was a moment between me and God. And when I said, God, why have you allowed 7 years? It was 7 years of what I've been going through. And I said, Lord, why did you allow me to go through this. And then he brought something back to me. I'd asked a question 7 years before when I looked around at the people. And I would say, God, why are the people like this? Why, when you walk in a church, do they have to be pumped and prodded to praise you? Why do they walk around depressed and heavy? And he said, in that moment, I got my answer. And he used me, and he used 7 years of my life to tell me one answer. And it was that they don't understand how much I love them. Y'all, I was spinning, and I could just see light spinning all around me. And he was answering the question. They don't understand how much I love them. Understand today that God has a call on your life, that he has a purpose in your life. And no matter how hard things look, he needs you to look to him for the answers, because he's training you and he's building you for what he's called you to do. And he loves you. This is Dr. Stacy. And that's just one of the testimonies of my life. Thank you for allowing me to share.